a lot of like, I guess the Regen movement is centered around like environmental causes. But so right now when I hear Regen, I think about like, okay, anything that has to do with like sustainability, like the environment and stuff. But what I'm thinking about, like the LA Regen movement, like I want to broaden that focus to where it impacts like arts, culture, like community, like providing like food distribution, like, providing services for like the houseless, like, and like all the like the cultural enclaves of LA, like focusing on.
Oh my God, it's W3bbie! W3bbie!
Oh, is he live? Are you live right now?
I'm live right now.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome back, everybody, to the W3bbie Show. We are at episode 4. This is crazy. It's great. The guests keep getting better and better, and it gets cooler and cooler. The audience is even growing, so that's really awesome. Thanks to everybody who has been watching and supporting and listening. Today I have a very special guest, a really, really cool and talented guest who I don't know as much as I know our previous guest, but we met recently and I've been keeping up with you online and you are just super interesting. And I was like, I'm going to take this opportunity to learn more about you and have a great conversation. So with that being said, we have Annelisa Moody, everyone, also known as Annie. Annie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Annelisa is the product marketing manager at Buidlbox, and Buidlbox is a hackathon platform. She's also a really cool DJ, and I saw a 5-time marathon runner.
5-time marathon runner. I'm also a fitness instructor on the side too. I do a bunch of little.
Okay.
Whoops.
Yeah, you're a wellness advocate, I'd say.
Yeah.
Where this, just like health and wellness. I saw your work with ADHD, and just, I think wellness overall you're an advocate for. So I think that's really cool, and really cool to meet someone in this space who has all those interests, and, you found a way to make some of them intersect, or a lot of them intersect in a really cool way, in my opinion. So that's really why I wanted to have you on this show. I'm super grateful for you taking the time out of your day so we can have this combo. And I know our audience will really enjoy and appreciate it. So is there anything you would like to say to introduce yourself? Would you like to give your own rundown of yourself to the audience?
Oh, you got everything pretty much on point. I don't even know where to begin. To like recap, yes, I work in we co-creator of a Web3 hackathons platform, fitness instructor, DJ for damn near 10 years.
Wow.
5-time marathon runner, but I don't train, so don't ask me about training advice.
No tips. No,
the reason I've ran 5 marathons is because I keep signing up for these things and then I never I forget about the training process. That's, you got it.
Okay. You just dive in. You just say, I'm going to do this. You commit, and then I'll do it when it's time, right?
Yeah, it's too late to back down, so I just do it. I do things.
Yeah, sometimes you got to burn the ships. That's how you got to do. When you get there, you got to burn your ship so you can't turn around to accomplish those goals. That's one of my things. Like, a lot of times I'll put a date on things or announce things prematurely just to put like the fire under my own ass to get it done,
Oh, yeah.
So good technique to accomplishing great things, I would say.
Yeah.
So I want to know, first off, okay, I got to give my audience a little bit of history on how I know you. That's what I've been doing as an intro as well.
Is fun.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we met in Paris earlier this summer during ETHCC, which, if you've watched this show, you've heard me talk about with both of our guests, which is a big Ethereum conference that happens in Paris. I think it's the biggest Ethereum conference in Europe. I read it's really, really big conference for all this blockchain, crypto, NFT lovers, enthusiasts, where we all come together for a week, and people go to listen to panels, people go to a lot of satellite events and parties and all these cool little things. And Annie was a part of our group. I feel like we just had this rotating group of people who I was with, like just cool people were coming in and out for like days at a time. You were one of those really cool people. When I first met you, you went off on me for not coming to your DJ gig the night before, but I hadn't been there. Yeah, I wasn't there yet, but my boys were there. And you were like, why weren't you there? And I was like, I wasn't in town. But they said good things.
It was.
Yeah,
It
no,
was.
I heard nothing.
Oh yeah, no. I do remember that. Like as you were talking about ECC, I was like, wait, like were you there? Were you there? And I remember now. I remember because then we went and had the best dumplings. Or remember
The
that
best.
dumpling point?
Yes.
Oh,
Mal's dumpling bar. Yeah. So we went, okay, so we went to Mal's dumpling. If you're in Paris, ever go to about Mal's. Mal's is really dope. Best playlist out of any restaurant I heard while I was in Paris. Really good dumplings, really cool atmosphere. Like the vibe was a 10 out of 10. And while we're sitting there talking, we follow each other on Instagram, and you go, well, do we have any mutuals? And we had one mutual friend, and it was my homegirl Gina, who DJs in Birmingham. And you guys knew each other for some crazy past life, I guess. And we sent her a video, and she confirmed that you guys knew each other and had met. And I just thought that was insane. It just proved how small the world is.
I gotta run that story back. Well, number one, the DJ set was for Metis, so shout out to Metis. And if any more Web3 people see this, I would love to be booked as a DJ for more Web3 events because I'm already at the conferences. So why not kill two birds with one stone? Secondly, I hope Gina sees this, and hello, Gina, if you do. The night I met Gina, it was I think this was like 2012. It was sometime between 2012 to 2014. I was with my other friend Jess, and we had seen the group The Internet. It was their very first like headlining show in Echo Park, and then I think it was like after the show we met Gina. She just like pulled up there by herself. She had some internship in LA, and then as we're like hanging out with Gina, we were like going off to some bars. We also then meet Frank Ocean because Frank Ocean at the time was trying to get at Gina. And that was the whole night was just wild. So she's one of those like remarkable.
Crazy.
What a great mutual friend to have.
Yeah, no, that was it. Once we realized who the mutual friend was, we immediately were like, oh, okay, cool, great. And then you told me that story, and I was like, even crazier. And I FaceTimed. I mean, no, we sent her a video, and she confirmed it. She was like, oh my God, how did you find Annie? Like, so, and I haven't seen Gina since I came back home. But Gina and my girl hang out a lot, so I'll see her soon. I'm sure. We haven't got to laugh about that in person together. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So you touched on being a DJ for 10 years. What originally got you into DJ, and how did you even start that before we get into like the Web3 stuff? Like,
yeah, this is actually a super interesting story. I'll try and like I've made like TikToks about it. I've like discussed it a few times, but like to try and like TLDR it, I had always wanted to be DJ. I think I like asked my parents to like buy me a mixer when I was like 10 years old. I never used it. And then I think this was around maybe like 20, actually, so it's been 8 or 9 years, but around like 2015, my roommate at the time / my best friend, she started taking DJ lessons. So for her birthday, I had bought her like a little mixer. Before I bought that mixer, while she was taking DJ lessons and telling me about it, I recorded my first mix using Logic Pro, like with no equipment on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And that mix now has like 100,000 plays. It's like
crazy.
That, I don't know how or why, because whenever I play it back, it's terrible. But I used like some of the interludes from Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and like mixed with these like little vibey like love songs that I found from SoundCloud. So that blew up. I buy my roommate this mixer while she's taking DJ lessons. She doesn't really use it, and then I start messing with it. I start using it, and then and then I just like kept putting out mixes, and they kept getting like a lot of traction. And then all the bookings that I've done in the past, like, or around like the first like 2 to 3 years, they were all like out of like right place, right time. I think my first live gig was at this music festival in Sacramento. And then I did like a couple like dive bar gigs, but there was one dive bar experience where I met these guys that worked for Golden Voice, and they were like, wait, we love your mixes. Like, would you like to open up for The Dream in 2 weeks? And
wow.
I know, and it was like The Dream. This was like 2018 now, so it was like The Dream's like 10-year anniversary from his like first album.
Oh wow!
after that, they kept booking me, and they had me opening up for like LMA or LMA.
LMAO? Oh, LMA, the singer?
Yeah, not LMA, not LMFAO, but
Yeah.
like boot up LMA. Don't let me get stuck
LMA.
on. Yes. And then Alina Baraz, and like I did this huge comedy show with like Nene Leakes. It was just like all these like crazy things started happening. So that's how I got into DJing. And now I don't DJ as much as I used to, because I love the work that I do in Web3. I don't feel the need to like say yes to everything, and I want to preserve that art for myself. So
I hear that. No, that's crazy. So we didn't talk about this, but I also had like a 5 or 6 year DJ career up until the pandemic. And my DJing story is kind of similar. Like I put out a mix that I thought no one was listening to. Like mine wasn't getting a lot of traction. I just kind of put it up. And a guy who was a promoter in my hometown was doing, I don't know if you remember the 40 ounce bounce, the party series they used to do. You remember that with 40 ounce van? This was like 2016, I think. He hits me up.
40 ounce van has me blocked on social media. I don't know why. I don't know if it was on Twitter or Instagram, but I think I might have like said something slick, and then out of nowhere I realized I was blocked. But I did one of those in Sacramento. Those were good.
Okay, cool. So we're like, so I got asked to DJ the 40 ounce bounce. And I was like, dude, I've never DJ like a real party, like a big crowd or anything. But that was my first gig. That went really well. A rapper, Reese LaFlair, who I'm really good friends with. I used to live in Atlanta. We stayed at the same house. He finds out about the gig somehow, because I opened up for Sunny Digital and they're really tight.
Yeah.
He hits me up like, yo, you DJ? And I was like, I guess. He was like, you want to come on the road with me? And I was like, sure, Reese. Yeah, I'll let me know when. And sure enough, he sends me flight information. And I go to like Denver or somewhere random with him. And that was like my first, like, somebody's paying me to go somewhere to DJ and all this stuff. And I ended up doing that. I went on the road with him for a while. I went on the road with Mike Floss out of Nashville for a few years. Up until the pandemic, I was touring with him. And it was just, it was crazy. It was unexpected. And since the pandemic, everything shut down, of course. And so like, I just kind of shifted my focus. I got really into real estate and then Web3. And I just kind of haven't looked back. But lately I've been thinking about like trying to make my way back into DJing, because I really like, these events and more so going to these Web3 events. And I'm sure you feel the same. It's like the music gets so like, it's just oomphed out. It's just oomphed out. That's the only way I can describe it. Like every Web3 party is just oomps the whole time. And it's like, can we switch this up a little bit?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's that. And then I don't want to go into a tangent on like the type of DJs that get booked at these Web3 events, but like it absolutely needs to change. But
yeah,
we know. I didn't know that about you. That's super tight.
Yeah, a little part, like a random past life of mine.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel like I'm like in a way transitioning away from DJing, and I don't really want, I only want to focus on like the shit that I enjoy playing now. So, wait, video went away.
We're still here. It's okay. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you still. We're good.
Then we're good. We'll keep rocking. And yeah, I feel you. Hopefully you can find more ways to, make that intersection work for you, where you get to play stuff you want to play in like Web3 audiences, because those parties need a different vibe if we're going to get more people to come in the space. And that's what me and Russ talked about on the episode with him. It's just like, how do we curate better vibes in these events where people outside of the space want to come into the Web3 space, like through events? Because, if you come now, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's the coolest thing in the world sometimes. Some of these parties I go into, I'm like, if I wasn't into Web3 or already at this conference, would I have come to this party? Probably not, if I'm just being honest. But we're gonna change that. People like us.
100%. No, that reminds me, I think actually when we were in Paris, I don't know if you remember, I had brought along, or like my DJ friend, her name is Adela, but she goes by DJ Kennedy. She happened to be in Paris at the same time, and I brought her. I met up with her after the dumpling spot, and I brought her with me to whatever party that was after, like, I don't know, at that club. And that was her first like Web3 experience. And she was just like, what the hell is going on? Like, Yeah, it was a
It's
lot.
like that.
But yeah.
Unfortunately. Okay, well, let me ask you this, since I know how you got into DJing. How did you get into Web3? Like, what's your entry into Web3? What was the thing that made that make sense for you and made you want to come like make that pivot to spend your time in this work?
My villain origin story.
Dun, dun, dun.
So let's see. This one is actually really, really interesting. Like, full disclosure, I mean, it's not really like a big secret, but like before I started working in Web3, I kid you not, like I mean, I think I hated every single full-time job I ever had before like I got into Web3. And a lot of my roles, I mean, I had taken like a full stack coding boot camp to try and pivot into a different role, but the company wasn't a fit at the time. That was also 2018. And then other than that, like a majority of like the companies I've worked for would be like SaaS, like Web2, SaaS, and I was doing like customer success essentially. But then my job prior to like when I found this role now, I was laid off twice. So one,
Wow.
Before the pandemic, then I got rehired, and then laid off again. And I think so that must have been around like December or so. And then one of my really good friends, his name is Julian. He's also from Sacramento. I remember like I had like shared on like Instagram or something. I shared on Instagram that like, fuck, I got laid off again. Like, this sucks. Like, I need to pivot careers. Like, I've hated all my jobs. I already like knew this, and I felt like I spent a lot of time throughout my career before this convincing myself that like, oh no, like, you know, this is great work. I hated it. But so my friend Julian had reached out to me, and he was like, you really need to get into this like Web3 stuff. You need to learn about like Web3. So he had sent me like, I think put me on like Decrypt, like all like there. That's like it's like DECRYPT something. That's a Web3 like news like media platform, and they also have some like really easy like digestible articles where you can learn basic concepts. He sent me like a whole bunch of resources and whatnot. And then I was like, wait, actually, this is really cool. And he also like threw some ideas out at me, like, oh, well, you know, you could take your ADHD community and like, you know, put it on the blockchain or make it like, you know, make it like an NFT or and so on. Like, just threw all these different ideas at me. And I thought like, this is actually really, really cool. And I loved like the concept of let's see, like how like Web3, what was I primarily drawn to was like data ownership, like internet ownership. It's hard for me to like narrow down now that I've like learned a decent amount over the past couple years. Yeah. So this was December of 2021 when I got laid off and I started learning. And then by January 2022, I was starting to apply to like putting my resume out everywhere. And then I applied to Gitcoin. I also applied to like other Web2 jobs, but I was not excited as much as I was about Gitcoin. And I even like dove into like their like free learning materials from Kernel, and I was really, really about it, and still am. And then that's when I met my current team. I think it was like right off the bat, my first or my second interview, I met Morton, who's now COO at Buidlbox. I met Gloria Kimbwala. Everybody freaking loves Gloria. Shout out to Gloria. But I had a really, really great talk with her about because I also have a background in I think I have like a certificate in like DE&I training and like workplace practices. We had a really good talk about that. She explained like, you know, what the current climate is in Web3 when it comes to like diversity and inclusion. And I just really fell in love with the team at Gitcoin, or we were at Gitcoin at the time. And then I just dove right in. Like once I got the role. So my role initially that I was interviewing for at Gitcoin, and remember I said like I hated doing customer success stuff, but it was customer success for hackathons. So I was working with partners still, but then we were such like a small agile team. Like I still like love to design, and I started like kind of flexing my other skills, and that led me into the role that I am now, which is product marketing manager.
Nice. Okay. And you said, so around the time you're getting into Web3, it's like late 2021 or sometime in 2021?
I think it was like, I even made a NFT for my friend Julian about this DM that he sent me. He said, fuck all that shit. Like you need to get into Web3. It's on my OpenSea.
Love it.
I think it was, December 2021. And then by January is when I started interviewing at Gitcoin. But
okay, cool.
When it comes to crypto, I think I like tried to like dabble, or I got into like the Doge stuff like during the pandemic, but I didn't understand how any type of trading worked. So I just made a bunch of dumb decisions, lost a bunch of money like everyone else.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. You're not alone. Yeah, no, the shit coins were very appealing when you're first coming into it. Like first you learn about like the ownership of everything and all that. And then you're like, this is all the Degen stuff going on. You can make $1 million in 2 days. And you're like, oh, really? That's awesome too. And then you lose $1 million in 12 hours. So
big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I think I have 2 copies of Green Pilled on here, but I think Iwaki talks about the Degen to Regen pipeline of like, how a lot of people's segue into Web3 was like the Degen stuff, and then they start like then that like their knowledge starts to broaden, and then you learn about all like the great things that you can do with crypto too.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect segue because me and Dave were talking about getting hip to the Regen movement while we were in Paris, because the whole time we're in Paris we were with Regens, because we went out there to help Proof of Vibes do their launch event, Baguettes and Ballots. So that was the whole reason me and Dave even went to Paris, was to put on that event. And Proof of Vibes is on Near, and Near is full of regens. Like the Near protocol is like full of regens, in my opinion. Which is funny because, the first 2 years we spent in the space, it was just Degen. Like we were with a bunch of Degens. We're at NFT NYC, NFT LAs, all those kind of conferences. We're going to these kind of like NFT community parties where everybody's just worried about their bags going up. Very Degen, right? But while we were in Paris, we met all these people who had all these cool projects, just doing these like beautiful things, like to make the world a better place, or just make things more sustainable, or, be just regenerative with this new technology instead of being so focused on their own, bags and their own portfolios. And I think that was really appealing and really cool to have my eyes open to that side of the space and see how much of that work is already going on right now. And so another funny story, we went to the Gitcoin house, and I'll back up a little bit in a minute and we'll talk about that. But after that, we go to this Gitcoin house event. We're with a bunch of regens, and we go to dinner. And during dinner, we end up having a conversation about regenerative over degenerate. And I overhear a conversation that's going on the other side of the table. And I don't know, it was about scamming and like being in a gang or something.
Yes, this was my question. This was my question. And I said, God damn it. I said, which is more regen? Cripping or scamming? Yes.
Being a crip or being a scammer. And I turned around, I'm like, and I just kind of interject into the conversation. I'm like, well, I would say being a crip is more regen because, crips were founded in community, like community building and like community improvement and stuff. And then that ended up in a whole nother conversation where I'm pretty sure I lost most of the table because some people thought, I kept saying gang banging. That was the term. I kept saying gang banging is regenerative, meaning like being a crip, being in a gang. And like half the table didn't know that's what I was referring to.
And then I remember someone at the table didn't heard gang banging, and they were thinking it was like the not gang related.
Yeah, sexual gang banging. And I was like, no. Like cripping.
It was like wrong.
Yeah, Wrong gang banging. I was like, and after that point of the conversation, I was like, I can only imagine what you were thinking, because I kept going so hard about gang banging being regenerative. And she was just like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
that was one of the best combos.
Your dissertation was unforgettable, and it needs to be made public. You need to like write an essay about this, because like I feel strongly about that. I agree.
Yeah, it was a sound argument. I think I made a very sound argument. I'll put it on wax, so we'll put it on the blockchain.
And your knowledge of Los Angeles Crip history is amazing. I was like, you
Listen,
knew, yeah.
I'm a connoisseur of culture. That's just what it is. I'm a connoisseur of culture. Cripping is cultural. R.I.P. to Nipsey. Yeah, that was hilarious. So backing up from that conversation, we're at the Gitcoin house, and you worked at Gitcoin for a while. I didn't know that at the time, crazy enough, but they were premiering a documentary that they were working on about like all the regenerative work that people have been doing, and people who are watching or listening who don't know what Gitcoin is. Gitcoin, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to give my version of it. It is a platform or a protocol that is funding. It's basically funding. It's a way of funding ideas and projects, but they have this really cool like way of doing this system of doing it that I still don't fully understand, which is quadratic funding.
Yes.
And Russ put me on. So can you give a little breakdown of Gitcoin and quadratic funding if you can?
Yeah. So how do because since like I could explain Gitcoin when I first started out there, because the Gitcoin events team, aka like the hackathons team, we were considered part of Gitcoin Holdings. So like we didn't really do much with Gitcoin DAO, but I guess like hackathons was originally one of like, the products of Gitcoin. And then also Kernel also came from Gitcoin too, but both are now like their own entities. But I think now Gitcoin has this grants protocol that uses quadratic funding, and quadratic funding. This was actually like my first public talk was about this, so I need to make sure I'm explaining this correctly. But quadratic funding is it's a decentralized funding mechanism that uses the quadratic formula to distribute funds. And I think like Vitalik actually wrote an awesome white paper about it, about like how quadratic funding could be applied into like funding public goods. But okay, let me try to like simplify this even more, because someone's yelling outside. Okay, so let's say, for example, that there's two different projects that need funding. Project A has 100 contributors that have only donated $1 each. And then Project B has maybe 3 contributors that have donated like $200 each. So technically that project has gotten more funds, even though there's like less supporters. With quadratic funding, there's this matching pool that previously with like Gitcoin, it would be like a big matching pool with big players such as like Ethereum, Polygon. They have all their funds put together. We'll say like it's like $1 million. That matching pool is going to favor the project A, which has less money but more individual supporters, versus project B, which has like 3 like rich people that are supporting, which is I think great. It pushes power to the edges, and it actually it weighs funds into projects or things that people actually support and want to vote for, or that things that people feel that they need. So there's that. There's also quadratic voting. That I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it uses that quadratic formula where you can like weigh votes versus saying yes or no to certain things. Like I hope I get
I haven't gotten that far in the deep end of quadratic stuff. You just put me on voting, quadratic voting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I do think you did a great job explaining funding, the quadratic funding, because like you said, basically the matching pool favors projects that'll have more people supporting over the money in comparison to projects that have more money and less people supporting it, which kind of balances things out a little bit better. I think that's really cool. I got hip to quadratic funding and Gitcoin through 40 Acres DAO. I know they participated in a few Gitcoin rounds, I think, at this point. And it's kick it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Fun fact is actually my first experience participating in Gitcoin grants. I think 40 Acres, it was one of the first projects that I actually donated to.
Oh, nice.
During Gitcoin grants. I think that might have been when I first started at Gitcoin, and I was like, everyone's telling me to get on Gitcoin grants. What projects should I fund? And I really like the mission of 40 Acres. And then also Gitcoin did a really cool Oakland local community cause round. I think around the same time that I was participating. So there were a lot of really cool projects on there. They actually onboarded a lot of grassroots organizations in Oakland into Web3 by providing them funds from quadratic funding.
Oh, that's cool. And that's a great way to onboard too, right?
Yeah.
Showing how this technology can fund projects that aren't Web3 related, don't have any blockchain components at all, but it's another way of funding. And that's what I'm always trying to get people in my circle who aren't in the Web3 space, who are doing all these amazing things, to at least kind of pay attention a little bit. It's like, yo, this is another opportunity for funding. This is another way for you to fund, where there's nonprofits that people, have that I know, or creative projects they're working on, or even new companies or startups. I'm like, this is another means of funding that is largely still untapped, I think, overall. There's a lot of ideas and concepts that people are having now because of this new tech that aren't even flushed out all the way. So who knows what's next? Quadratic funding is still fairly new.
I know.
Who's to say?
I recently actually started contributing or kind of being more involved into the green pilled movement, which is, I think that's that's another byproduct or something that was birthed out of Gitcoin / from Owaki's green pilled book. So with the green pilled movement or the green pilled network, they have all these different city chapters, and there's now green pilled LA. And so I started taking over the social and attending meetings, and I'm thinking I had this huge aha moment the other day. I was I think quadratic funding can be a big winner when it comes into onboarding people into Web3. If people could only see the impact that this could have in their local communities, then this could be huge. So I'm really excited to work with there's not enough I think I might be the only or one of a few LA local people that are actually in the Green Pilled LA chapter. Everyone else is kind of spread out. But I know so many really amazing people in my community that are running doing run groups. They're doing food distribution. They're doing all these really amazing regen things that need funding, and this is another outlet for them. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's cool. I got hip to Green Pill from Randy. Randy, I don't remember what Randy's last name is right now. But she has the Variable Collective, which is the hacker house that I stayed at in Paris, and she did a presentation on Green Pill, and that, like I said, we got hip to so much regen stuff while we were in Paris. It was insane. My whole week was just regens in comparison to all the other Web3 conferences or IRL events that I had attended. They were all just DGen based, and that one week we just were completely put onto the regen scene, which kind of not that my faith in Web3 was gone or anything, but like this year's been crazy in comparison to like the first 2-year ride of being in this space, like when everything was just up and great, and the market turned and most people left and are building AI projects now. But there's still people here that are like, okay, yeah, the DJs are going great. Let's use this technology for good. And I think that was really cool to just see so many different projects being built and meet so many people who, just really were there. We're in this space for regenerative ideas and regenerative things. So I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap up the questions portion of this interview. We're going to play a little game now. You haven't seen the full episode, so I don't know if you know about a little game, but a little game is a word association game. Yeah. We'll play. I have 5 words for you. I'll give you the words and you'll give me the first things, thoughts, word, whatever else comes to your mind when I say this word. That cool?
Yeah. Can I go grab some wine real quick?
Yeah, do that because I'm going to let this ad play from Lil Nouns, which is this episode's sponsor.
Whoop! Shout out to Lil Nouns.
Hey. Lil Nouns is a community that is shaping culture by funding one idea at a time. Ideas like a free-to-use music library and skate park makeovers in Brazil are just a few ideas funded by Lil Nouns. Join Lil Nouns now at lilnouns.wtf. That's LILNOUNS.WTF.
Oh, well, I would like to reveal this awesome natural wine bottle.
Oh, that's fire. Wait, it's kind of blurry on my... Is that Kobe?
Listen,
where you get the Kobe wine? Where are you getting the Kobe wine?
So, as I mentioned, that I'm tapped in with a lot of really dope communities in Los Angeles that like do these. Well, they do like regen things, and then this is not really degen, but my friends have started this monthly natural wine club called Clink, and it takes place at Love Hour in Koreatown, which also has the best burgers. And yesterday,
K-Town.
Yep. Yesterday was their 2-year anniversary. So this wine is called Two of Them Things.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
With the Mamba branding. I love that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kobe.
Yeah.
And shout out to K-Town. Good barbecue in K-Town out in LA.
Best everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing but love for K-Town when I'm out in LA. I'll say that. Okay, so
let's do it.
Let's get into this little game. Now you got your wine. I've been drinking water. I should have joined you, I guess. I'm actually, tomorrow starts Sobertober for me. So I'm going to be sober for the next month. This will be like year 3 or 4. I think this is like my 3rd or 4th year doing Sobertober. So I should have got a glass of wine, but it's all good. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to give you a word and you say the first thought, the first word, whatever comes to your mind. You just let it out. We'll start pretty chill and then, we'll build up. So the first word is LA.
Community.
Or Los Angeles. Community? Can you expand on community? What do you mean by that when you say community? Yeah. People use community a lot, especially in this space, but
I know, like don't you feel like community can be like really like overused and stuff? But
for sure.
I do like I was actually about to go on a tweet rant about this yesterday, but I know that like a lot of people that aren't like a lot of LA transplants or a lot of people that come to LA just to visit, they and maybe it's like also social media because there's also like a lot of influencers that become LA transplants. A lot of people get the wrong idea about Los Angeles as being like very superficial or bad vibes, like everybody there is fake. But I'm here to set the record straight that is false. That is primarily people that are not from here that are experiencing that and portraying that. And most of those people are in Hollywood. No shade to Hollywood, but
okay. Shout out to my homies in Hollywood. I got homies who stay in Hollywood.
That's like
they're good. They're good people though. They're good people.
Yeah. So I bet like, yeah, there are like, oh damn, it's raining. What the hell? There's good people everywhere. And so, I myself am like technically an LA transplant. I moved here in 2009, but my grandparents, they immigrated here from the Philippines. Like my mom was born and raised here. I still have my family roots here. And when I think about LA, I think about like all the different like cultural enclaves that are now starting to disappear because of gentrification. But there are people like now in my generation that are still trying to like hold on to those roots and build community. Like I said, I have friends that do like run clubs. I have friends that just have like these like great social gatherings, like natural wine nights. But there's this, I really believe that like LA is like a city that's very rich in like history and culture and community. And there's a lot of like great people out here that are doing great things. So
I completely agree. Okay, give me one tip on finding your community. If I was going to move to LA tomorrow and I wanted to find a community that aligned with me, what would be your one tip or like the first thing I should do in your opinion?
Shoot. I would tap. I mean, I could like actually shout out because I always tell people like go to the run clubs. Like my friend Dom, he hosts like on Sundays. He does like it depends on what you like to do, but like he does like these like Sunday run day in downtown LA. I have these other friends that I think it's like closer to like Leimert Park at Rancho Scandiga Track. They do like track nights. It's called like Good Vibes Track Club. There's Koreatown Run Club. There's actually like I'm seeing like a lot more like health and like wellness groups that are like really like open and inviting. There's also like the Clink monthly natural wine nights. I would just tap into like all these like different meetups, and everyone is like so like super duper inviting. I would not go to. I wouldn't like. There's so much more cool things to do in LA than like go to the club or I don't know. Yeah. So I would say
I feel you. I don't go to the club out there.
I had my time in the but supper club doesn't exist anymore, so I will never. That's a different rant. But
Gotcha.
I would say like just tap in with like local meetups and go hiking and shit.
Hell yeah, I'm with that. I always go hiking, like right. Just go get outside. Basically, to sum that up, just get outside, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So my second word is regen.
Okay, this also reminds me. On the like Green Pill LA call, someone brought up that like regen is now like has a technical connotation. So I jokingly tweeted, that's my next think piece is being regen a slur. But
okay,
I haven't like dove into like why being regen is out, but this actually reminds me of another tweet that this dude Humpty Calderon, he actually participated in the permissionless hackathon. He's based in LA. He brought up that a lot of like I guess the regen movement is centered around like environmental causes, but so right now when I hear regen, I think about like okay, anything that has to do with like sustainability, like the environment and stuff. But what I'm thinking about like the LA regen movement, like I want to broaden that focus to where it impacts like arts, culture, like community, like providing like food distribution, like, you know, providing services for like the houseless, like, and like all the like the cultural enclaves of LA, like focusing on like local small businesses. So that's my rant.
So expanding. You know, honestly, when you say, and when I hear regen too, I automatically go to like environmental projects, because the first person that comes to mind when I think of regen is Jimmy, and I do not know Jimmy's last name. Jimmy was at dinner with us, the Tregens, right? The Tregens project. Right. And I thought his project is so dope. Like everything, his whole mission is really cool. Like I really rock with it. And like, that's my first go-to in my mind when I think of regen. It's, you know, environmental based, it's trees, it's saving the world that way, and like using this technology to plant more trees and stuff like that. But I like, you know, what you were just saying about like expanding that, right? Like sustainability can be more than just environmental things. There's all these other communities and other like, you know, aspects in the world that could be, you know, benefit from some regen energy. So I definitely, I rock with that. I think that's really cool. Okay. This next one, I can't wait to. I really, this was a big part of why I brought you here too. FriendTech.
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 Don't let me have my hot take.
Let's hear it.
I'm on that thing, and I thought it was cool at first, but now it's just filled with bots, and it's essentially it's OnlyFans for Web3, and you are that's exactly what
That's the greatest explanation I've heard. That was a 10 out of 10 explanation of FriendTech. Only fans for Web3.
Oh my goodness. I was talking to one of my friends, and he is like super bullish on FriendTech, and I was like, do I have to like post some selfies on here to get people to buy? I'm like, and I feel so like icky, like, you know, trying to like be like, oh, buy me on FriendTech, whatever. I'm over it, but yeah, it's OnlyFans.
Okay. Okay. It's crazy because I saw very early on when FriendTech came into my radar my radar. You were one of the first people I think I saw even commenting on it on like Twitter and Instagram.
Everybody into that shit.
Yeah, Dave invited me, and I'm sure maybe that's from your tree. That's how I got my invitation, was through Dave. But when I didn't know exactly what it was until I started signing up, and then it was like, oh, add some ETH to your wallet and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. I'm burnt. I'm like, not burnt. I'm just turned. I'm kind of turned off by social media as a whole after like Spill and Threads and all that came out around the same time. Everybody was just rushing. I'm like, dude, this is like overkill. And so when I got to that part of the FriendTech onboarding, I just never did it, and I haven't come back to the app. But like I asked Dave the other day, I'm like, dude, are you still using FriendTech? And he's like, I'm on there, but like I'm not being active. And some of my teammates, so I'll have the W3bbie team on the episodes like maybe episode 6, I think we're going to be. We'll talk about it, but the builders on my team, they love that FriendTech is a progressive web app. They don't care about FriendTech at all as an app, like the social part of it, but they love that it's a progressive web app, which is basically like an app you download from your mobile browser onto your phone, which kind of like Euro steps the whole like Apple doesn't let crypto apps kind of thing on there.
Yeah.
In their store. You don't have to use it. So like I've been learning about the benefits of PWAs because of FriendTech. And so we're building a progressive web app right now on base, just as, because that's what W3bbie does. We build products and projects, prototypes all the time. That's why we do so many hackathons. But so we've been dissecting FriendTech from a build perspective, not so much from the social and all of that.
Yeah.
Because we believe that progressive web apps are the future of this Web3 space. But you calling it OnlyFans is 10 out of 10. That made this episode worth it.
No, and I feel like because I tried with it. Like I also like tap in sometimes, but I feel like also just like as a woman, it's I feel like that's just like everybody, or for the most part, most of the people that are in there are just like a bunch of like reply guys, and I'm like, I don't need to feel like what am I going to tell y'all what I ate today, and like you guys are gonna be like, cool, like I don't know, it just makes like you guys, it just makes me uncomfortable. But yeah. Secondly,
I feel that.
I need to tap in with you because speaking of actually with the person who onboarded me into Web3, Julian, we had gotten like funding from Flow like I think last year, and we were building out this, well, now it's a Web3 platform that has to do with music. I'm not going to say music NFTs because I think now like need to probably pivot, but I think that's really what stuck out to me about FriendTech is how like you could easily like download on a browser, because that's a big that's a big blocker for a lot of like any like mobile native app.
Yeah.
Like, that has anything to do with Web3. You can't get that shit approved in the Apple Store. You can't take transactions like unless you do jump through hoops.
Exactly.
So we'll have to tap in with you about that.
Okay. Yeah, we should definitely we can build whatever. We're working on it right now. We're doing that. We've been super just all about that the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Number 4.
To make it Web3. Sorry.
Huh?
Oh, I said the app that I got funding for it's already built. It just needs to be like there's no like Web3 component, but yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay, just get that integration. Okay, yeah, we should definitely talk. We will talk about that 100%. Yeah. Okay. The next word is public goods. I guess words.
I know. The first thing that comes to mind is public goods are good, because that's like the big meme that that came from public goods. But this is actually also my favorite like question about or question to ask people, or like icebreaker, is what is what's your favorite public good? I don't have a favorite public good, but the ones that like helped me understand or grasp the concept of it at a like when I first started learning about it, or at a very early stage, was like examples of public goods could be like Wikipedia is a public good, streets, clean air. God forbid, like if
Okay.
it has clean air, but yeah, those are my examples.
Okay, and can you give a quick like definition or a breakdown of what a public good is? Like in a definition, what would you call a public good?
Oh my God, what is the?
I just say something like free. I usually am like something free that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. Benefits,
I because this was also part of like the first like public talk that I ever did, and I had to explain what public goods are. And there's like the words are like coming to my head, but I can't remember them. But it is something that like, you know, benefits humanity in general. That is free, open source software. I could give examples all day, but I can't. It's like the actual definition is going over my head.
No, it's all good. I think the examples will help people connect those dots. They'll get it from context. Okay, and the fifth word and the final word of the little game is hackathon.
Ooh, chaos, but in a good way.
Organized chaos.
Yes, sometimes organized. But I'll give like two rants, or maybe just one. I do think that hackathons are slept on by a lot of like big organizations that are as a means of like growing their community, and like as like a marketing tool. What's really cool in Web3 is like you know, growing your community relies on bringing in more contributors, more people that want to build on your protocol, versus in Web 2, it's like, you know, growing your community means like you have a million people that, I don't know, want to purchase something. I see it differently in Web3, and I do see that hackathons are a way for to bring innovation, to bring new projects that deserve funding into different ecosystems that are in Web3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they're very underrated and still underused in this space. I found out about hackathons through the Web3 space, funny enough, because my background isn't technical at all. I've become more technical due to my time in this space, due to W3bbie, and us participating in hackathons. I usually play like project management, UI, UX. I'll do design, like graphic stuff. But I've learned just more technical skills from participating in hackathons. And I think I see all the time, like just other communities or projects on Web3 that are, you know, the bigger brands or names in this space that aren't utilizing hackathons, I think, as well as they could be utilized. So yeah, I'm really bullish on hackathons. I have a lot of conversations with people outside of the Web3 space who are in my circles that do not know what a hackathon is, who are thinking like I'm somewhere probably underground, like trying to break into the government. And I'm like, that's not what a hackathon is. It's basically just a building competition. And
it's too late.
And a lot of times you get prize money.
Yeah. No,
it's too late to do what?
I said it's too late to like rebrand the name hackathon, because it's like because I think it gets a weird connotation. But I will say also, I do think like aside from like growing community for organizations, hackathon is also a great way to onboard more people into the Web3 space. That's number one. And then number two, I do think that a lot of people get the notion that you need to be highly technical, or you need to have like development skills in order to participate in hackathons. I think I want to say like I would love to see more hackathons that have challenges that are non-technical, which I have seen. I think there's one called we did on Gitcoin called Codeless Conduct, where they were design challenges, where they were, you know, write an educational article. I do think that more organizations need to be putting those types of hackathons out. I think that would welcome more people into the space.
Agreed. I know Lil Nouns, or like Nouns Fair. I don't know if it's Lil Nouns specifically, but like Nouns Fair, which comes from the Nouns DAO community. They partner up with ETH Global Hackathons, and they do bounties for best use of Lil Nouns artwork, and like I can't remember what the other bounties they'll do, but they'll give away bounties for like non-technical stuff, just using Nouns, because it's all CCO, so like using their artwork and their intellectual property. And I always think that's really cool. Yeah. And it's a good way for them to onboard people into the Nouns ecosystem as well. Cool. That was the end of a little game. I don't have any more questions for you, but I would shoot myself in the foot if I let this interview go without asking. The whole point of me creating this podcast is, I've been having conversations with people, especially after the market turn, in my communities and my networks outside of Web3, that think this whole space is dead, and they don't know. They're like, "You're a really smart dude. I've seen you do all these things. You're really talented. Why are you still doing this crypto NFT stuff? And this is done, right?" And I'm like, "It's not done." And a lot of those people just don't have context of what's going on in the space. A lot of that, in my opinion, comes from lack of representation. I'm Black. Most of my friends are Black that I talk to immediately. Of course, I have a very diverse group of friends on a macro scale, but like the people I talk to on a normal basis, they don't see themselves in this space, right? So they don't go see what's going on because they're like, this is just a bunch of rich white dudes trading monkey pictures in crypto, and like I'm not doing that. There's too much going on for me to even spend my time doing that. And so I started this podcast to have conversations with people where people I know can see themselves, and hopefully that'll bring interest where they'll come and be interested in the space and like participate. This is the work I'm doing to like change that inclusion, like to grow the inclusion. You as a woman, I'm sure you feel the same, not only as a woman of color, but just as a woman as well. I'm sure you feel that there is a lack of representation in this space. If you had one tip for any, somebody running a big brand or who has larger influence on the space, you could give them one tip to make this space more inclusive, what would that be from your perspective?
Ooh. Rita.
Preach. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Look,
you got the floor. You got it.
Look, like, I think that's one of the things that really, really shocked me. I had the conversation with Gloria, and I know she had like kind of, when I was interviewing with Gitcoin, she had like kind of like pre-warned me that the nature of, I guess, like diversity in Web3 right now is what Silicon Valley was probably like, 15, 20 years ago, which is predominantly all white male. And it's also difficult to navigate the lack of diversity or like diversity, inclusion, and also just like belonging in this space, because I noticed that, there's also like, because there's people around the world, and there's people that are from like, that have never seen a person of color in their entire life, never like interacted with, never interacted with a person of color because they live in like, somewhere in like Europe. And God, it's really difficult to, like, if I were to give a tip to somebody about this, is to actually, okay, here's my tip. Acknowledge that there is a problem. Acknowledge that there is, that this is what the space is currently lacking. And I think that's where we need to start, because it's really hard, as time goes on, as we have all these like different things that come up. I forgot whoever the fuck that NFT guy that like kept like dropping N-bombs and shit through his.
Oh yeah, a while back. Yeah. Right before Paris.
What was his name?
Oh, kind of real. Hold on. I don't know. This is crazy. I got a crazy story about that. I saw that going on my timeline. I didn't participate. When like me, I don't have the time to even get into it. Anyway, I saw that. I didn't participate. I didn't get in any Twitter spaces. I didn't comment on it because I'm like, this is always happening. We know this. You're going to tell these people that this is bad. These are grown ass men. They know it. They don't care. Obviously, I'm not going to waste my time having debates with you guys for an audience. Like, I don't care. Nothing's going to come of it. That's just me. While we're in Paris, we meet the guy who was saying it. Did you hear about that? Russ tell you? We did an event. Yeah, we helped produce an event and he was there. I didn't know until like halfway through the event that this was the guy who had like dropped the N-bomb all on Twitter and all this stuff. And like, and it was so crazy to me. I didn't even like, it is what it is. Like, I'm from Alabama. So my takes on like people being racist and stuff like that, like you don't even have time for it, trust me. So it's just like, you heard my dissertation on Crippin. Yeah. Don't even get me started on racism. So yeah, man, but I think you said exactly like address that there is a problem. Address that this is a real thing. Don't act like, oh, this is very diverse. This is an inclusive space. It's not. You know, that's not what it's like. I go to these events, you go to these events. We know what the makeup is. We know the percentages. We're a very, very, very small percent of the people participating in this space right now.
Yeah.
And the space isn't going to, you know, grow and be it's the best version of Web3 without that inclusiveness, right. You know, without more diversity. So, this is just me doing my little part. I think you hit the nail on the head with just starting with addressing that there is a lack of diversity.
One last thing on that is like, and I know that this might take me into my own little tangent, but I think also when it comes to like hiring practices in Web3, a lot of like, and I'm noticing that a lot of like hiring in Web3 comes from like word of mouth. But what happens when the leaders that are like in Web3, they're only referring their friends or like, you know, word of mouth of people that look like them. And therefore like that's leaving out an entire like talented pool of individuals and like also creating more separation. And when it comes to like diversity and inclusion, because like you're like, you know, you see, yeah. I think it's also to be a little bit more fair and transparent, and also like when it comes to like hiring practices. But that's a whole other thing.
100%. No, listen. As somebody who's been on a job hunt in the Web3 space for like most of this year, it's definitely like that. I know like it's all word of mouth, it's all relationships, but I'm just like, that's not sustainable. That's gonna keep creating this echo chamber and, you know, a very limited view of what this space could be. So I'm just glad to hear someone else say that. I'm glad that I could just have you on here to express that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Yeah. So with that being said, I want to thank you, first of all, for taking time out of your day to talk to me. I kept you longer than I said I would, but this was just a good conversation. So good. Yeah, it was a good conversation. So I really appreciate you doing that. Would you like to have any closing words for the audience, give any closing words to the audience, and give your socials out where people can reach out to you, follow you, connect with you?
Yes. Oh my God. This reminds me of like, did you ever watch like old school Jesus and Mira when they had the rainbow?
The rainbow. Yes.
So
I'm going to have a rainbow one day. I don't know what our rainbow will be.
I know. I had thought about this my whole life, and that's like, I want a rainbow, but I don't know what it would say. But, you can find me on social media. On Instagram is at Annelisa Moody, which is my name. On Twitter at not Annelisa. Also follow Buidlbox. That's also one of my social media outlets. And check out hackathons if anyone's interested in hearing more about how you can participate in hackathons or create your own. Hit me up. Buidlbox is awesome, and I love the team there. So, and thank you, Travis. This was amazing, and I love the work that you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So we're signing off. This has been episode 4 of the W3bbie Show. Follow me at BigTrav205. Follow W3bbie at W3bbie _XYZ on Twitter and W3bbie.xyz on Instagram. That is also our website, YouTube, Spotify. Give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys on episode 5. Oh, go ahead. Kick it.
The cloud for this episode would be Crippin is Regen.
I'm naming this episode Crippin is Regen.
Oh my God, it's W3bbie! W3bbie!
Oh, is he live? Are you live right now?
I'm live right now.
Oh my goodness.